He really didn't want one, even if he did need one. The doctor had grown fond of his long blonde hair. It was his trademark, and he liked it. Charlie, on the other hand, was insistent. Doctor, you're getting a haircut, and that's final. Now, he may have been older than her, by a few centuries, but the doctor knew better than to argue with a persistent Charlie. By all accounts, getting a haircut should be a simple thing. I mean, humans get it done all the time, after all. But the doctor didn't do things normal now, did he? This wasn't going to be a quick trip to London and back. The doctor was stubborn, after all. If he was getting his haircut, of course there'd be an alien twist to it. Past the Newman Nebula, near the Pattern Sector in the Carter system, there was Space Station Greenwood. And in that space station was the best hairdressers in the galaxy. The wheezy and groaning of the TARDIS echoed through the landing bay of the space station, and the Doctor and Charlie slowly stepped out of the blue box. Okay, right. We're in the Chadwick section, Charlie, so don't forget where we've parked, okay? Charlie had a feeling he said that more for his benefit than hers. Or whatever. It was time for a simple haircut at last. Then again, this was the Doctor, and nothing was ever simple. And 20 minutes later, that fact was proven. The Doctor flung himself back on the chair he was sat on, narrowly avoiding the sharp blade that was swung towards him. The Doctor and the chair soon both ended up crashing to the old wooden flooring. The Doctor took a moment to gather his thoughts, but noticed a few strands of long blonde hair had been cut off by the blade. "Don't think you're getting a good review for this," he said, holding the lost strands in his fingers. He wasn't met with a reply, but instead was met with the slow approach of the robotic hairdresser. It was sort of a Frankenstein creation of different parts. Just looking at it, he could make out parts from a disused Vok, destroyed Cyberman, broken Chumleys, and even had the rundown face of an old Kablam Man delivery droid. The smile plastered on its face would unsettle anyone. The Doctor jumped to his feet, throwing off the tarp that was tied around him over the hair droid's face. Huh, you like the sound of that name, hair droid. He took a moment to dust off his waistcoat and ran into the waiting room. Unlike the robot, the rest of the building was clean and neat. Everything was put in its place for a reason. Velocity Tomei, the world's greatest hairdressers this side of the galaxy, and made to have the charm of a Victorian-style of hairdressers. It was a gimmick that brought in business. "Charlie! Charlie!" The Doctor screamed, looking for his companion. "She ain't here, bud. She said she was going back to your TARDIS to make a phone call. Said you knew where you were parked," a voice said. The Doctor turned to look at the small owner of the establishment. A Grosk that was sat by the counter, his blue skin contrasting against his small black pinstripe suit that he had on. He got off the tall chair he was sat on and walked towards the Doctor. At a generous push, I guess you could say he was about as tall as the Doctor's waist. "So she got out then?" The Doctor asked back. "Yeah, look here, pal. I ain't one for repeating myself. So now I got a question for you. What's with all that noise I could hear a few seconds ago? Now let me tell you, I run a legitimate business here, so I don't want any trouble, so you better not be causing any." The Gross soon got his answer, as the hair droid burst through into the waiting room, with its scissor attachments spinning fast and frantically. "I hope that gives you the answer you were looking for." The crazy droid dashed towards the Doctor, who quickly jumped out the way, landing near the hat stand where his long navy coat was waiting for him. He quickly reached into his coat pocket, pulling out the sonic screwdriver. The Rogosk was still stood there in shock. What the hell is going on here?" he screamed, knowing he wasn't going to get a good review after this. "That's what I would like to know!" The Doctor quickly replied, aiming the sonic screwdriver. The blue circular end pointed directly at the rogue droid. The buzzing noise of the sonic filled the room, but the Doctor was shocked. It had no effect on the hair droid. The Doctor turned to the Rosk owner, who had hid behind a desk by now. "Are you telling me this patchwork robot of yours has a deadlock seal around its systems?" The Doctor was getting frustrated. The hair droid quickly fired one of the blades from its hands, and the Doctor ducked, narrowly avoiding it. But sadly, losing a few bits of hair in the process. and to the doctor, I was like losing an old friend. The Grosk slowly popped his head out from under the desk, shaking as he looked at the hair droid looming over the customer. Hey, don't blame me, okay? I got it from a shape-shifting bar owner. He said it was top of the line. Shape-shifting bar owner? The doctor knew he was going to have to pay a certain penguin a little visit if he got out of this alive. He did wonder for a second. If this did kill him, could people at least lie and say it was the Cybermen? That sounded better than death by hair droid, and was technically the truth. His legs were from a rundown Cyberman after all. Wait. His brain was on fire. He finally had an idea. And it was a pretty good one, he thought, given the circumstances. Reaching into his waistcoat pocket, he pulled out a gold chain, and attached to the end was an antique gold pocket watch. The doctor smirked. Time to put the plan into action. Sliding under the hair droid's legs, the doctor slammed the watch against the droid's cyber legs. He knew it wouldn't shut it down, but it would stop it long enough for the doctor to carry out the rest of his plan. The droid could no longer stand, and fell to the ground. The doctor got back to his feet, using a sonic screwdriver, opened a small hatch in the back of the droid's head. Just as he thought. All the circuits were all over the place, no wonder it went crazy. The doctor disconnected all the wiring before the hair droid could recover. This caused the glowing eyes of its Kablam man face to flicker before finally going off. It was over. The doctor took a sigh of relief, and without saying a word, put his watch back in his waistcoat pocket, grabbed his coat and scarf, and left. The Grosk finally decided to come out of hiding, and just looked as the doctor left his establishment, and with a nervous sound in his voice, simply said, thank you for your, come again? Back in the TARDIS, Charlie was just ending a phone call with her sister, and ended it just in time to see the doctor walk in. She had a smile on her face, and walked up to him enthusiastically. So, let's see how... She stopped her sentence quickly, and saw the doctor's hair was a mess, and a few bits were missing, giving his head a very uneven look. Do I even want to know what happened? She asked. The doctor didn't reply yet. He just moved over to the console and started planning the next destination. He finally looked at Charlie. Let's just say, I think I'm going to be the one in charge of my hair from now on. A bright orange glow formed around the doctor's hair as the missing parts slowly grew back. Charlie looked puzzled. Did you just waste a small bit of regeneration energy? Yes. But don't worry. Might just mean I'm a tad shorter in the future. But that's a problem for another me to deal with. He smiled, and the two had a laugh for a second. Charlie then moved nearer to him at the console. So, I guess we better go meet the brig as planned, she asked with a smile. The doctor pulled on the lever of the TARDIS, and it slowly started to take off. We're heading to a bar first, my dear. This caught Charlie off guard. Why a bar? She asked, trying not to laugh. The doctor wasn't much of a drinker. Are you going to treat me to a drink? She playfully asked. Because, before we see the Brigadier, I need to have a word with a certain penguin. And trust me, I don't think he's going to be charging us after this. And like that, they were off, into time and space. Just the Doctor and Charlie, and to all the adventures yet to come.